Let me ask you a question. Do you want to create a fantastic future? In this video, I'm going to show you 7 steps to creating your fantastic future. So before we dive into the 7 steps that are absolutely a necessity in order for you to create a fantastic future, we need to look at a couple of things. And the first thing is I want to ask you a couple of questions. Questions is something that I ask a lot. Why? Well, I'm a coach. And as a coach, my role is to help someone go from where they are to where they want to be. But the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the things he said is the most important part of any change process is to acknowledge the truth of where you actually are. So how do you feel about where you are right now? Do you feel that there is some progress that could be made in your life for you to achieve your goals and your dreams and your ambitions? When we work with people, we tend to talk about the big 3, the 3 areas that most people are interested in improving, and that's their health and energy, their relationships with others and themselves, their wealth, their work, and their service. Where are you in those different places? And if you carry on doing exactly what you're doing right now today, the same habits, the same thoughts, where will you be in the future? And this is a question I think sometimes people don't want to answer because of the reality that most people are probably living a future they don't want. They will end up in a place one day and they'll go, I don't actually want to be here. I wish I'd made some different choices. Now, I'm sure you're not at that point yet, and it's never too late to change the way that you think, to change the way that you feel, to change the way you act, so you have a different set of results. You feel more fulfilled. You feel that you're making progress. Because ultimately, deep down, I think that is when human beings really we're at our best. So the first thing I really want you to acknowledge is, are you moving forwards or are you stagnant? Are you stuck? Ultimately, some people would say you're either moving forwards into growth or back into safety, or you're either growing or you're, well, I'll let you fill in the gap. So what we need to look at before we look at the 7 is identity. Identity is really fascinating because the word identity means your repeated beingness. So every single day we identify with who we think we are and we go on repeat. We've made other videos about this, that, you know, if you don't change what you're doing, then nothing ever really is going to change. And possibly the greatest change you'll ever make is creating a future identity, identifying with someone who you actually want to become, so that your identity is the person you choose to be. Your personality is, again, the person that you're choosing to become. You don't have to be who you are. You could be someone completely different. In fact, you already are. You are not the same person that you were a few years ago. But for so many people, those changes were they just happened. They just adapted, as opposed to consciously making the decision to change your life for the better. So let's look at these 7 steps. The first is intelligent and intentions. Now, do you think of yourself as someone who is intelligent? Look, for me, I went to school. I didn't have a great time at school. It was a bit of a waste of time. I didn't see myself as intelligent, but I now know what the word means. It means clever in your behavior. It means your ability of reasoning thought. It's your actually also ability to be funny and clever at the same time. It's about being alert and vigorous and being independent. And that wasn't something that we were taught to do at school. I now know what's important. And I know that I'm intelligent by my actions. I'm actually intelligent by my intent. And this is what we really want to help you to do, to live an intentional life, because intent means you're occupied with something. What are you occupied with today that's going to build a better tomorrow, especially if you want to create a fantastic future? Being intent means you show determination and resolve. You ask questions of yourself. You investigate. You have an aim, an intent, and a purpose. When you're intentional, you're deliberate, you're calculated, you're planned. You have this sense of knowing. What you do is prearranged. And if we don't decide who we're going to become and the future that we want to create, what do you think is going to happen? And that's why we need to wake up to step number 2. Step number 2 is about prospection. Now, this is a term that is used in psychology, and all prospection really means is your ability to see multiple different futures. So I don't know whether you've ever heard of the American dream. The American dream was a whole load of Europeans that were told, not by email, not on the radio, the word traveled because those bits of technology didn't exist, that there was the opportunity to go to America, no taxes, and there was gold. There were possibilities and opportunities for everybody. And you can imagine a lot of those Europeans started to prospect in their mind. They started to see what they wanted to bring into the world. They saw possibilities. If they didn't see those possibilities, do you think they would have left? It's unlikely. We have the opportunity to prospect the gold that we want to bring into our world. And I don't mean the object of gold. I'm talking about the object of who you could actually become in the different areas of your life. So knowing that you can prospect. Most people don't think very far ahead. We've made YouTube videos about that. And most people think of a future they don't want. But you can change that. You can use your imagination in ways that you get inspired about the options that are available to you. Step number 3 is knowing the game that you're playing. Ultimately, I think life is a game. It's a competitive game. I see it that way. And we're competing against what? I don't think we spend too much time, we compare ourselves to others, which is not a healthy pastime, but we compete against our former idea of ourselves. And that's why we have to create new identities. Otherwise, we'll just keep doing the same thing and wondering why we don't make any progress. Step number 4 is stop. Stop. We're so pre-consumed with running on overtime and not really consuming information, consuming food that we don't need to consume, that we don't often just stop and think about, if I stopped doing certain things, what impact would that have on my life? And that's my big question to you right here, right now. What's the one thing that if you stop doing would have the single biggest impact on your life? So, do you procrastinate? Do you ruminate? Go over thoughts over and over again? Do you put things off? Do you make excuses? Do you get distracted? Just imagine if you stopped doing one of those things or you became better at doing less of it, what sort of impact would it have on your future? Having worked with so many world and Olympic champions in sport who come to me to help them go from where they are to where they want to be, the biggest changes they make are often what they stop doing, not what they start doing. Which is step number 5. Once you realize things that you could stop, what could you start? What's the one thing, if you started doing it over an extended period of time, would bring about the most significant change? It's often simple things like starting to exercise, but doing it consistently. Start just going the extra mile, reading a bit more, whatever it is. This is where the magic is. It's the compounding over time. But I would say there's hardly any point starting anything if you're not going to stop something first or at the same time. Step number 6 is wanting versus needing. A lot of people live life in a state of lack, that they're lacking something and they feel they actually need something in order for that lack to go away. So there's this endless pursuit of needing and then maybe getting what they want, but then the need is still there. Whereas I would encourage you to look at this like, I want to be healthier. I want to be more productive. I want to be more successful rather than I need to, because need puts, I think, unnecessary pressure on ourselves, and wanting is just a much more empowering way to look at whatever it is that you want to achieve. And step number 7 is environment. I don't know who it was that said we are the sum of the 5 people that we spend most of our time with, but I think there's a huge amount of truth in we are a product of our environment. And it's so important to have people in your team. It could just be one person or 2 people or a community of people that support you in creating the future that you want. We say this with all of our videos. A great life, it doesn't happen by chance, it happens by design. The best thing you'll ever design is the person that you want to become. So what were the 7? The 7 was, first off, intelligent and intentional, which is about just being clever enough to know that if you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to make progress. Step number 2 is prospection, being able to see a future that you want to carve out. Number 3, knowing the game that you're playing, and if it's not working for you, how do you play that game better? And we've got a whole host of videos that can help you if you want to do a deeper dive into that. What do you need to stop doing? That's number 4. Number 5, what do you need to start doing? Number 6 is wanting versus needing. And number 7 is about environment. Put yourself in an environment that supports your growth. Thank you for watching the video. In the video below, comment. Let us know, what are you going to stop doing and what are you going to start doing? And also check out our program, Stop One, Start One, which is an app that has been specifically put together to help you compound on the things in your life that you'd like to start and to stop. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.